Welcome to NarrativeNook Audiotales, where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
No, she couldn't just fess up to the plagiarism. That'd be the end of her piano career for the rest of her life. The glory of coming second would be gone in a blink. The jeers and jabs would push her into the abyss. The scandal would stick to her like glue for life, and she'd become a laughingstock. If she owned up to the theft, her parents and Zachary would be majorly disappointed. Her aunt and uncle would loathe her even more, barring her from the Murphy family. Those who had supported and liked her would drop her like a hot potato. Gritting her teeth, she shot back, "That's just your side of the story. Included in textbooks? Who saw that?" Jasmine, seeing Yolanda still playing dumb, was fuming. "All right, I'll make you eat your words." She had someone snap a picture of the latest textbook and projected the score onto the big screen. "This is Melody's piece, Wish," Jasmine said, looking around. "Those who can read music will see the similarities. It's not just a line or two that's the same, the entire climax is copied." "Oh yeah, it really is. The climax is exactly the same." President Jasmine isn't slandering her, she did plagiarize. Maestro Melody's intro and outro are way better than Yolanda's. Asterisk for those of you who can't read music, don't worry. I'll have someone play Melody's climax, so you can hear for yourself if they are the same. Eventually, Jasmine turned to Frida. "You go." Frida was a bit taken aback by President Jasmine's sudden call, but quickly sat down at the piano and played the climax of Maestro Melody's piece as displayed on the screen. The identical melody rang out in everyone's ears, and even Atli and Olga, who had initially defended their daughter, were stunned. They couldn't read sheet music, but it was hard to deny the plagiarism when the music was exactly the same. Each note Frida played felt like a slap in the face for Yolanda, who by the end was as white as a sheet. Among the front row spectators were this year's competition judges, who had initially thought highly of Yolanda, especially Professor Lydia, who was particularly fond of her. Yolanda's second place was largely due to her support. But now, with the damning evidence, she was disappointed and furious. After Frida finished playing the climax, the host, knowing Yolanda's plagiarism was clear as day, picked up the mic and said solemnly, "It's not right to reap the fruits of someone else's hard work without their permission, infringing on their rights." He glanced at Yolanda. "As the host of the competition, I'm sorry to announce that the second prize winner Yolanda, due to plagiarizing Maestro Melody's work, is stripped of her award. According to the rules, she can't participate in similar competitions from now on." Yolanda was trembling all over. "Now, let's take a photo to commemorate the first and third place winners, and President Jasmine." The host tried to usher the journalists closer to snap photos and move past this incident, but Yolanda suddenly raised her voice. "I didn't plagiarize. The evidence is right there, and she still denies it? Could she actually be innocent? Look at her. Plagiarizers should be guilty, not like this." But their climaxes were the same. If she didn't plagiarize Maestro Melody's work, then did Maestro Melody plagiarize hers? This is clearly plagiarism. President Jasmine didn't expect her to be so stubborn, angrily said, "People these days have no moral bottom line for fame and gain. Is it the imbalance of the creator's mentality or the lack of character? You plagiarized Melody's work, and the industry will kick you out. You should admit your mistake, yet you have the nerve to say you didn't plagiarize." "I didn't plagiarize," Yolanda stubbornly insisted. "This song was composed by me at home. Can President Jasmine provide evidence that I didn't compose it at home? Can you explain why your climax is the same as Maestro Melody's? With your performance in the other parts, could you compose such an exciting climax?" Jasmine obviously didn't believe her. "Do you think anyone here would believe you? You say you didn't plagiarize, dare you say it in front of Melody again?" "What? Melody?" Melody had always been a mystery, and no one had ever seen her true face. Not only did President Jasmine know her, but it seemed like she was going to call her out. Would such a master-level person come forward to settle such a small matter? Yolanda didn't expect Jasmine to bring out Maestro Melody to pressure her. Everyone knew that Maestro Melody's whereabouts were a mystery. She guessed that Maestro Melody just didn't want to stand in the spotlight, so she always hid her identity. Was Jasmine going to call Melody or connect a video live? No matter which way, Yolanda felt a bit uneasy, her freshly manicured nails unknowingly dug into her palms. Maestro Melody happens to be here today, in the audience, witnessing you plagiarize her work and refusing to admit it, Jasmine said. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience erupted, looking around for Maestro Melody. Yolanda's face drained of color. Maestro Melody was here? Impossible. She was such a big shot, how could she possibly appear at the award ceremony of such a small competition? Jasmine looked at an attractive girl in the audience, respectfully and cautiously said, I'm really sorry to disturb you for such a small matter. I wanted to resolve it as quickly as possible. As she said this, she turned her fierce gaze back on Yolanda. I didn't expect this girl to copy your work and have the audacity to say she didn't plagiarize. This is not only disrespectful to you, but also to the creative environment. President Jasmine looked at Arabella in the audience. Plagiarism must be punished. We need to make plagiarists unwelcome in this circle, so others don't dare to follow suit. Otherwise there will be fewer and fewer creators, and more thieves. Now, only Arabella herself could step forward, can embarrass Yolanda and expose the truth. Arabella originally wanted to kick Yolanda out of the industry without making a scene, but some people really had no shame, plagiarizing and then refusing to admit it. Everyone followed Jasmine's gaze and looked surprised. Was that girl Melody? Her? Melody? No way. But President Jasmine is definitely looking that way, and aside from her, there's no one else nearby. Melody's won countless piano awards both domestically and internationally. It can't possibly be some random girl. Maybe it's too dark and President Jasmine got the wrong person? She just looks like a high school student. The audience was dim because the spotlight was on the stage, but everyone still noticed that stunningly beautiful face shining brightly in the darkness. If President Jasmine said she herself was Melody, I might believe it. But how could that girl be Melody? I don't think it's possible either. It was then that Atli and Olga noticed Jasmine's gaze had landed on a girl in the audience, who looked strangely like Arabella from the back. No, it wasn't just a resemblance. Olga recognized that outfit. She had a run-in with Arabella at the restroom door earlier, and Arabella was wearing that exact outfit. Jasmine said she was Maestro Melody? No way. How many times in her life had she ever played the piano? Even if she knew a few chords, it didn't mean she could compose music. How could she be Maestro Melody? If they were to say Serena was Maestro Melody, that would be more believable, considering she was Kenneth's daughter and a billionaire's heiress. But Arabella? No way in hell. Zachary also followed Jasmine's gaze and found the girl's silhouette familiar. Then hearing Olga's words, he was in disbelief. Arabella? He was a bit shocked. Arabella was at the award scene? How did she get in? Jasmine said she was Melody? How could it be? Serena followed Jasmine's gaze to the audience. There was Arabella and no one else. Arabella was Melody? What a joke. How could Melody be so young? Jasmine must have made a mistake. Yolanda was stunned too. Arabella? So you're the one pulling the strings. She finally understood, and her voice, amplified by the microphone, reached everyone's ears. I get it. You must have pretended to be Maestro Melody and got President Jasmine to expose me. President Jasmine was too kind and fell for your lies. After all, no one had ever seen Maestro Melody, and it was not impossible for Arabella to pose as her. She smirked, as if she had discovered the mastermind. If you were impersonating someone else, I wouldn't care. But Maestro Melody is an idol to many here. Did you ask for their permission before impersonating her? Do you think her fans are easy to bully? Everyone in the audience started whispering. Yeah, how could she possibly be Maestro Melody? Melody is legendary. I don't think it's her either. If she really is pretending to be Maestro Melody, I won't let her off the hook. Me neither. Sounds like there's some personal beef between these two. Yolanda felt humiliated, and in that moment, she decided to make Arabella taste the same bitterness. You've been enjoying the wealth that should have been mine for 18 years. Our parents found me, their long-lost daughter. You couldn't accept it, so you've been picking on me ever since. The audience was shocked by her words. Who would have thought there was such deep animosity between the two? So, It seemed like the girl in the audience had set a trap for Yolanda on the stage out of revenge. Suddenly, everyone who had been admiring Arabella's beauty started talking bad about her. Yolanda continued, "Your real family is so poor, and you have to rely on different men every day to stay in Summerfield. Who brought you here today? Dare to introduce him to everyone? I've been trying to guide you away from this path, but you never listen. You've even hit me several times, and bullied my fiancé. I didn't want to stoop to your level, but then you saw me winning this award, and you schemed to win Jasmine's trust and smear my reputation. Jasmine's just too kind-hearted to not believe you." The audience was once again taken aback. It sounded like the girl in the audience led a chaotic personal life. She was beautiful and looked like the kind who would seduce others. And based on Yolanda's analysis, Arabella could have been smearing Yolanda out of jealousy or discontent. Serena looked at Yolanda with a baffled expression. Was she out of her mind? Sure, it was possible that Arabella couldn't play the piano. But how could she say Arabella's real family was poor? And that Arabella hooked up with different men every day to stay in Summerfield? Her parents casually gave her hundreds of millions for pocket money, and just her bags and clothes alone could last her several years. Besides, she was dating Romeo. Why would she need to please other men? Was this woman insane? Who in the world could compare to Romeo? What a bunch of bullshit. But this was Arabella's business, and she wouldn't interfere. Some people in the entertainment industry had previously asked Maestro Melody to write a song specifically for them. But Maestro Melody refused. The reason was she didn't need the money and didn't have the time. Who on earth do you think you are to smear Melody? The whole lot of us in the Piano Association combined can't even hold a candle to Melody's musical talent. Think she's easy prey because she's young? Let me tell you, the whole Piano Association has got her back. Dare to smear her again? Jasmine said. The whole room was thunderstruck. Wait, so that girl was really Melody? Seeing President Jasmine get so riled up, there was no doubt about it, that girl was Melody. Maestro Melody seemed way too young and good-looking. They figured Maestro Melody would at least be the same age as President Jasmine. Yolanda couldn't believe her ears. Arabella was really Maestro Melody? No way. Even Atli, Olga, and Zachary in the audience were shocked and in disbelief. Are you seriously doubting Melody's skills? Jasmine asked. Yolanda's face was beyond pale, but she still insisted, really? If her piano skills are that good, let's have her play for everyone. Wow! What a nerve! No one had ever dared to make such an unreasonable request. Was she overestimating herself? If the song is hers, she can play it without sheet music. If not, she's not Maestro Melody and the song isn't hers. So, Maestro Melody, do you dare to prove yourself? Yolanda was sure Arabella couldn't play the piano. Even if she could, she wouldn't be able to remember this unreleased song and perform it perfectly. Just as Jasmine was about to have security escort her out, Arabella stood up and smirked, sure. She'd make her admit defeat. Everyone watched as Arabella gracefully walked onto the stage. Her beautiful features were stunning. This girl not only had a strong aura but was also very attractive. President Jasmine said you could play the piano with your back to it? How about you show everyone? Yolanda was sure Arabella would make a fool of herself. At this moment, Kenneth and Louisa hurried back to find several people on stage. Serena already had the championship trophy in her hands. Had the award ceremony finished? Why was she still on stage with a group of people after giving the award? And why did the atmosphere feel off? What surprised them the most was Bella being on stage too. What on earth was going on? Arabella sat on the piano bench, her back to the piano, her slender fingers gracefully playing. Everyone was stunned. Arabella didn't look at the sheet music, yet she played each note so naturally. It was very melodious. I'm a fan of Maestro Melody. This song's melody and momentum are just like their style. Only Maestro Melody could create such a beautiful song. This song must be hers, or else how could she play it without any preparation? She must be Maestro Melody, no doubt. Kenneth and Louisa were taken aback. Bella was Maestro Melody? Their precious daughter was a musical prodigy. They had no idea. To be able to play the piano with her back to it, without sheet music, and in such a graceful manner. What was more, her technique was correct. The entire song was very much in line with Maestro Melody's usual style. Maestro Melody's music was very moving, and everyone was touched. In contrast, people realized that the song Misery Yolanda had written was total trash. The girl playing the piano was definitely Maestro Melody. Taking the microphone from the host after her performance, Arabella casually said, "I wrote the song last year for the earthquake survivors, so I can play it without the score." Talking about proof. Atli and Olga in the audience were gobsmacked, finding it hard to believe that this chick who just nailed the piano performance used to be their daughter. Wasn't she supposed to be all thumbs? And always ice cold? How could she play the piano? And such a difficult piece at that. Rumor had it that someone once offered a fortune to Maestro Melody to compose a piece but was turned down. Who would have thought that the one who snubbed them was none other than Arabella? Serena was also taken aback that Arabella was Maestro Melody. Her performance just now clearly put her head and shoulders above everyone else. And to think she had been showing off right in front of her. How embarrassing was that? Yolanda, totally floored but refusing to admit it, retorted, "No way. President Jasmine said that this song is already in the textbooks. You must have gotten a sneak peek at the sheet music to embarrass me, and learned it by heart. There was no way she could have played it so smoothly. She was only able to learn the piano by mooching off the Murphy family's wealth after taking over her position as their daughter. Nothing to brag about." After hearing Arabella's performance, Frida was shell-shocked. She had just publicly played the climax of Maestro Melody's piece. What if Maestro Melody thought she sucked? Seeing Yolanda still in denial, Jasmine's got her blood boiling. "So if you insist that you single-handedly composed Misery, and since you were able to create such a beautiful climax, do you dare to have a showdown here with Maestro Melody?" A showdown? You and Maestro Melody will each have 10 minutes to improvise. If you really have talent and your improvisation can surpass Maestro Melody's, then we will recognize your ability. With that, Jasmine gave her a cold stare. "The ball is in your court." From the side, Arabella chimed in, "We don't need 10 minutes. She sat at the piano and casually played a melody. Without any preparation or thoughtful consideration, her music was still pleasing to the ears. After playing a light and joyful tune, Arabella switched to a majestic melody which clearly conveyed anger. This was followed by a sad melody, and ended with a cheerful tune that lifted everyone's spirits. She used her music to express joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. The audience erupted into thunderous applause. Her technique, her ability to improvise, the style and level of her melodies, all proved she was Melody. The applause was deafening and seemed to last forever. Even Kenneth and Louisa were clapping like crazy. They never expected their little girl to be such a whiz at the piano. She rocked. Yolanda's face was a blend of shock and shame. Arabella's piano skills were not only superior to hers, but also far surpassed everyone present. She really was Melody. Serena had just one question after listening to Arabella's impromptu performance. How on earth could she play so well without any preparation? Throughout the years, Serena had listened to a lot of niche piano pieces. She was sure that the melodies Arabella just played had never been performed in public before. It was highly possible that they were truly improvised. She couldn't understand how a melody that hadn't been repeatedly polished and carefully thought out could be played so brilliantly on the spot. She had foolishly asked Arabella before if she had learned piano and if she'd won any awards. She even bragged about winning over 50 championships since childhood and her teacher being the famous piano master Andy. Now she felt utterly embarrassed. In front of Arabella, Andy was nothing. Melody was a legend in the piano world, unbeaten till this day. She had won countless top awards both domestically and internationally, a real big shot. In Melody's eyes, regardless of how many championships her opponents won, even if it was 500, she wouldn't bat an eyelid. Her skill level was out of this world. Serena felt like she had definitely made a fool of herself. When she asked those arrogant questions earlier, Arabella was still playing games. She thought Arabella was just average. Her previous disdain and self-righteousness had now become slaps in the face, hitting her again and again. Serena couldn't describe her feelings at the moment. Was it frustration? Unwillingness? Sadness? Disappointment? Depression? Feeling useless? Or some other emotion? Your turn. On stage, Jasmine lifted her red lips, confidently looking at Yolanda. Arabella has completed her improvisation. I believe everyone has seen her level. You thought your talent is above Arabella's, right? Now you can show everyone. Yolanda stood still, her body uncontrollably trembling. She knew her creative level better than anyone. Once displayed, it would definitely be a joke. How could she possibly compare to Arabella? Seeing her embarrassment, Jasmine coldly laughed. If you can't improvise, just play a famous piece you're familiar with. Yolanda couldn't play. Her teacher had taught her some famous pieces in the past, but she couldn't remember a complete melody without looking at the sheet music. Even if someone put the sheet music in front of her, she would still play it awkwardly, definitely not as smoothly as Arabella just did. Anyone who knew piano could tell her level immediately. You can't even play famous pieces? Jasmine found it ironic. She had overestimated her. Yolanda bit her lower lip, still insisting, I just went blank all of a sudden. Seeing her distressed expression, Jasmine found it incredibly amusing. Since you're not good at improvising and don't remember any famous pieces, then play something you're familiar with. Yolanda still stood there. She had been practicing the piece Misery for the past month and hadn't practiced any other pieces. What? Can't you even play other piano pieces? Not even the most basic Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? Jasmine said. Laughter erupted from the audience. I never thought Yolanda couldn't play the piano. Can she only play Misery? She can't even remember sheet music? Remembering sheet music is the most basic thing for people learning the piano. It's unbelievable that she can't even remember a complete piece of music. And what's more, she can't even play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That's just ridiculous. I could play that when I was 4. How could someone like her get second place? There must be something fishy about her second place. Ashley, a judge sitting in the front row of the audience, took the microphone and said disappointingly, this year's piano competition not only requires high-level performance, but also your own composition. From the first preliminary round to the top 8 in the third round, you have been playing the same piece. Other contestants would compose several pieces and take turns to perform, showing their better side and getting more points. But Yolanda had been performing Misery from beginning to end. At first, I thought you were confident in your own composition and thought you could win the competition with one song. So you performed with one song from beginning to end. I even thought you were confident. I didn't expect that it's the exact opposite, and you could only play Misery. Ashley was extremely disappointed in her. You tried to bluff your way through this serious and solemn occasion. I'm very disappointed in you. No, it's not like that. Yolanda was almost crying. I can play more than just this one. People in the audience mocked. Then play it. Show your skills and prove yourself. Maestro Melody plays so well, you're scared, aren't you? You don't dare to play, do you? Apologize. Apologize to Maestro Melody. You don't deserve second place. You don't even belong in this circle. Yolanda, you are a disgrace to the piano world. Please leave this circle. Get out of here. Get out. Atli and Olga watched helplessly as their daughter went from being the center of attention as the second-place winner to being despised by everyone, all because of Arabella. Just as they were about to say something to help, Arabella spoke. Just now, I ran into one of your old classmates downstairs. Arabella spoke with a calm expression and a strong aura. Let's invite her up now. Everyone looked surprised as a girl came up on stage and said elegantly, Hi everyone, my name is Tina. I came with Frida to the award ceremony. I used to be in the same class as Yolanda. Yolanda said in surprise, Tina. She used to get along very well with Tina, they could be called good friends. But after some conflicts and Tina's transfer, they lost contact. Could Tina have been bought off by Arabella? No matter what, Yolanda felt like she was done for today. She subconsciously clenched her fists, her face pale. Yolanda's family wasn't well, off before. I've been to her house and there wasn't a piano. In fact, She was very envious of me learning the piano since childhood, and would always look at the piano when she came to my house. I can testify that before Yolanda went to high school, she had never touched a piano, and couldn't even tell the difference between the bass and treble clefs. She should have started learning the piano after she started high school, Tina said. The moment she said that, everyone started whispering to each other. They all thought Yolanda had been playing piano since she was little, but turned out she only started in high school? Yolanda tried to explain in a low voice. Later, my parents found me a piano teacher. Before she could finish, Arabella calmly asked, "This lady, is she the piano teacher you're talking about?" A young woman stepped onto the stage, glanced at Yolanda, and greeted everyone. "Hello everyone, I'm Yolanda's piano teacher. I taught her for a month." A month? She only learned piano for a month. Everyone was stunned. She had no previous piano experience. At first, I taught her to recognize famous music, but she had a hard time remembering each melody and often made mistakes with her fingering. Then in the following days, she suddenly got it, wrote a melody, and asked for my opinion. I had never heard such beautiful music. The entire piece was coherent, extremely passionate and magnificent, as if it could absorb everything. At that time, I suspected she was passing off a master's work as her own. Because she had only been learning piano for a few days, it was impossible to create such good music. But I looked it up online for a long time and couldn't find any similar pieces, so I believed her and highly praised her musical talent. I asked her. She said she was suddenly inspired and improvised it. To be honest, as someone who has been in the piano industry for more than a decade, I can't write such a pleasing tune. So I felt inferior and quit. What the piano teacher didn't expect was, her intuition was right. This piece was not Yolanda's, but a direct plagiarism of a master's work. No wonder it was so good. Yolanda backed away 2 steps, the revealed truth shocking her into silence, her body shaking nonstop. She knew her piano career was completely over. People below the stage were mad. "Shameless. You are a thief." I see she's good at defending herself. I wonder if she will slander the master again. Apologize to the master. You owe an apology to the creator and those who cherish originality. Must apologize. Apologize to the master. Or we won't let you leave this theater. Many of the audience spontaneously stood up, harshly criticizing the girl on stage. For the first time, Yolanda tasted the bitterness of disrepute. Zachary in the audience suddenly found the girl he deeply loved became strange, vain, frightening. She held the master's work, insisted it was her own, and wouldn't stop until she was in such a disgraceful situation. It was like he never knew her. At that moment, Mrs. Panther, who had hurried over, saw this scene. Her face was full of surprise and anger. This girl was such a disappointment. Thankfully, she was not a member of the Panther family, otherwise, they would be the ones embarrassed today. "You're finally here." Mrs. Bright in the audience saw Mrs. Panther and couldn't help but sarcastically remark, "It's right for you not to acknowledge her as your family. She stole the master's work and still won't admit it. So embarrassing. Mom, how come you're here?" Zachary noticed his mother had arrived. "Let's get outta here, son," Mrs. Panther said, tugging at Zachary's hand. "You see, this girl ain't worth your love. Marry her and you'll be a laughingstock for life. That girl, so young, but she's Maestro Melody." Mrs. Bright sighed. "Who you talking about?" Mrs. Panther questioned, following her gaze. The one standing in the middle of the stage, cold as ice, but the prettiest of them all. Mrs. Bright pointed out, "That's Maestro Melody. Bet you didn't see that coming." Mrs. Panther stared at Arabella's icy face on stage, a little taken aback. So she was Maestro Melody? This might spell big trouble for the Panther family. I wonder who the lucky guy would be to marry her. Heard some entertainment companies tried to commission a piano piece from her, offering big bucks, but she wasn't interested. Said she didn't need the money. Mrs. Bright's words left Mrs. Panther shocked and flabbergasted. In the past, she thought Arabella was all show and no substance, always putting on this icy front. Turned out, she was the real deal. Her aloofness and arrogance stem from her talent. She was too shallow, couldn't tell a pearl from a fish eye. Zachary glanced at Arabella on stage. She was so beautiful, like the brightest star in the crowd. And Yolanda, compared to her, seemed so plain. Just an average girl, nothing special. He didn't even know why he liked her before. Zachary stood up, leaving with his mother. Yolanda on stage noticed, and instinctively wanted to stop them. But a crowd was demanding her to apologize. Atli and Olga were also being mocked and ridiculed. Feeling utterly humiliated, they just wanted to get out of there. You've infringed on the author's rights by plagiarizing his work for personal gain. You should be liable. Arabella said in a cold voice, "You'll be hearing from a lawyer soon." Yolanda opened her mouth, speechless and utterly defeated. And people were still demanding an apology. Seeing her parents being cornered, Yolanda teared up, bowed deeply to Arabella. "I apologize. I made a mistake." With that, she squeezed through the crowd and ran off stage, couldn't stand to be there any longer. Seeing her run off, Atli and Olga quickly followed. People surrounded Arabella. "Maestro, I've composed a piece recently. I wonder if you'd guide me." "Hello, I'm Frida. I came third in this competition. Could I have the honor to learn from you for a while?" "Maestro Melody, your improvisation was enchanting. I'm totally smitten. I'm your loyal fan. I can play all your pieces. Thank you for your beautiful music. It's been a great comfort to many fans like me. I really adore you, Maestro Melody. Could I get your autograph? Could I take a picture with you?" Fans were crowding around Arabella, cautious yet hopeful and anxious, hoping to catch Maestro Melody's eye. Spotting her parents from afar, Arabella said gently, "I got some matters to attend to. Please pretend you didn't see me today." "No problem. If the maestro said so, we won't blabber. If anyone asks us about the maestro's gender, age, we'll just say we don't know." "Absolutely right. Maestro, don't you worry." "Indeed, Maestro. When can we expect some new tunes? The fans have been waiting forever." Arabella gave a slight smile. "I'll get on it as soon as I can." "Awesome." In their joy, the crowd no longer obstructed the maestro's path and parted ways. The host announced the end of the event, and the audience started to disperse. Arabella headed towards her parents. Seeing their excitement, she slightly smiled. "Let's talk in the car." Okay." Kenneth was shocked that his own daughter turned out to be a piano maestro. Back in the day, David was willing to pay big bucks for her to compose a piece, but she refused. Afterward, David complained, saying the maestro was too arrogant. Who would have thought that this arrogant person turned out to be David's sister? Now this was interesting. A few hardcore fans watched as the maestro left with Kenneth and his wife, feeling envious. It's true what they say, influential people hang out with other influential people. When will I be like the maestro and be buddies with a billionaire? Close your eyes, dude. Huh? Close my eyes. In your dreams, you can have it all. On the way home, Serena felt the weight of the championship trophy in her hands, just like her mood. This trophy probably didn't mean much to Arabella. Just as she was about to hide this embarrassing object behind her back, she heard Louisa say, "Serena, your sister is Melody. You can learn a lot from her." "Oh, okay," Serena said. "Learn from her my ass," as if Arabella would teach her. Who would have thought the Collins family would produce a musical genius? Amazing. We need to celebrate tonight. Louisa couldn't stop smiling. Kenneth was also thrilled. Bella really brought honor to the Collins family. Her talent was overlooked when she was with the Murphy family. Why bring up those people? Those heartless bastards, just mentioning them annoys me. Louisa said. "You're right. Don't worry, I'll handle it right now." Kenneth pulled out his phone and told the person on the other end, "Let everyone know, anyone who collaborates with the Murphy family is against the Collins family." Dared to bully his precious daughter? Humph. They wouldn't survive in Summerfield. Serena always prided herself, but she just couldn't accept that Arabella was better than her. At this moment, her heart was filled with jealousy and frustration, but she had to keep a calm facade. It was so hard. Meanwhile, Carl knocked on the CEO's office door and barged in without waiting for Romeo's permission. "Mr. Macmillan, there's been a major development. Miss Bella is Melody, the very famous musical genius in the piano world." Romeo looked up, surprised yet with a hint of a doting smile on his lips. His girlfriend always managed to surprise him. Not only was she an excellent doctor at such a young age, but she was also a piano prodigy. What else didn't he know about her? Today, Miss Bella attended the piano competition award ceremony with her family. Carl detailed the entire event.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.